Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a hump day edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hoodco Roofing, hoodcoroofing.com, Restored Motion, it's restoredmotions.com, and ProCharge EV, prochargeev.com. Y'all, it is National Signing Day, the early signing period, of course. This 3-day window is open where players can sign their letter of intent. And it is expected to be a relatively uneventful day for LSU. Tigers are expected, Tigers have 27 players committed, and they are expected to have all 27 players. It's a 26 high school players and one JUCO. That's Sean Washington, the defensive lineman who, from Warren Easton, who started his career at Georgia, who committed to LSU. They are expected to have all 27 signed today. So that's pretty remarkable. And I chatted with Shea Dixon from On3 on Tuesday, and he told me that, some of you may know this, but he told me that none of LSU's commitments, 27 players, none of them during this this recent contact period visited any campus. None of them, not one player committed to LSU took a visit during this recent contact period before signing day. Because, of course, you had the contact period, then you had the dead period, now it's signing day. Now the signing period. So while LSU was getting guys on campus and, hosting recruits and going in home with other guys and all during the contact period, not one. 27 players and not one was on anybody else's campus. So kudos before the hay's in the barn. I mean, you still got to get those faxes rolling in and everything like that. But I don't know that I've ever seen that where, 27 and not one takes a visit. So how you were able to get this, how you were able to get this class this solidly committed is to where nobody took a visit is pretty incredible. So anyway, we'll wait today, and we'll see if there's any other news. Probably the biggest news for LSU today is, with guys like Terry Bussey and Dom McKinley, some A&M, a couple of 5-star A&M commits who are thought to be reconsidering with the new coaching staff. And if both of them do allow this signing period to come and go without signing a letter of intent, then even if they're still committed to A&M, their recruitment is open. So anyway, let's see. So as of right now, and it's 7:38 a.m. Central Time, and y'all forgive me, I'm just in the morning with all the sinus stuff and allergy stuff going around. I'm just like draining in the morning. So I don't mean to be gross if you hear me like hicking and hocking and gagging and all that stuff. But anyway, one player has already sent in his letter of intent. That's Gabe Relaford from Evangel. And that's a big flip, y'all. And, I know that's a guy from Evangel, North Louisiana, who, was an A&M commit, who they got to decommit, and then they flipped him, and that's huge. It's a player from the state of Louisiana. It's one of the top players in the state of Louisiana who is at a position of need that, was committed to another SEC school, and, you get him, you get him to flip and stay home. It's awesome. And especially when you look at what's happened now on the defensive line because yesterday Tyji Hill hit the portal. I know Tyji Hill's an interior player and Gabe Relaford is an edge, but Quincy Wiggins, Fitzgerald West, Tyji Hill, Bryce Langston, as a product of what LSU did a year ago. And remember, a year ago, LSU, they went into the portal and they went ham on the defensive line because they needed to. In just a brief history lesson or refresher. In Brian Kelly's first season, 2022, remember Mason Smith gets hurt, and LSU rotated 3 defensive linemen. 3. It was Mekhi Wingo, Jaquelin Roy, Jacoby Guillory. You rotated 3 interior defensive players. That's stunning. Remember, Mekhi Wingo played like 98% of the defensive snaps. It was crazy. So they had to go get numbers. So they went in and got Jordan Jefferson and Jalen Lee and Paris Shand and Ovia Gofu and Braden Swinson. And they went ham and got all these defensive linemen. So what happened was, so you had Smith and Wingo and Guillory returning, you add this big layer of veteran players. Well, all of your young guys basically just got pushed down another class. So instead of all the young guys stepping up and counting on them to play better, the coaching staff said, we're going to go get a bunch of veteran guys that we know can play right away. So they did that where your defense still stunk anyway. Well, the problem was all of those guys ended up waiting another year not playing, and now everybody may be coming back. Smith, Wingo, Guillory, Shand, Swinson, they can all come back, and they might be. And if they are, well, then all those young guys are like, I'm not going to wait another year and not play, so they're leaving. So what's happened now is hopefully you get those guys back and then all the transfers return. And so then now you can supplement with the young guys this year, a transfer like Sean Washington. And then, next year when the majority of those guys are gone, you have to go really big. But it really feels like this is a year where you would you'd want to add a big young defensive line class to come in beneath those veteran guys, because next year there's likely to be a mass exodus. Now, if Smith, Wingo, Guillory don't stay, they're playing the bowl game.
What's pajama practice? Are you doing your show? What? Is this so ridiculous?
Yes, but that's the point, Erica. It's pajama day. Erica's wearing pajamas to school.
Did you like that stuff for me?
Yep. Everything's in there. Your coffee's made.
Thank you. I've never done this in my life.
Erica overslept. I went there, woke up. I was like, it's 7 o'clock. Anyway, okay. So let's say some good mornings. See what y'all got. You know the drill. Fire away. If you're on YouTube, please smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page. Share the post. We appreciate y'all for being here with us. Trivia Carter, Brad, David, James, McKinney, Strong Side, Wendell Norman, Taylor Hudson, good morning. Jacob Thompson, who's the best recruit for LSU on the defensive side in their signing class this year? Deshaun McBride would be the highest ranked. He's a safety out of Denham Springs, one of the top safeties in the country. And let's just be very honest, man. LSU, their defensive back play was poor this year all the way around. And you certainly have an opportunity for a guy like that if he's able to come in and be the impact guy that will step in. So Trey Green from Zachary, the tight end, is the highest rated signing in the class. Weston Davis, the offensive lineman, another flip from A&M, as a 5-star on 3. And then Deshaun McBride is a 4-star. He's the number 3 player in the state, the 4th best safety in the country. So, that guy could be. And then Caden Durham, the running back, and then Tylen Singleton, the linebacker out of Manny. So then Relaford, who I just mentioned. So it's a pretty diverse class, man. Barry Jocelyn, Christian Geiger, William Moore, Chris P., Randall Offrecht, good morning. I have a new phone. How do I register on your text app again? Easy. Just text on the 225-396-4400, 396-4400, and the prompts will come through. So the first reply you get, so that number I give out on air all the time, it's an app called Community. And it literally is an app that goes to my phone where you can text and I can text back. But when you text that number, just text anything the first time, you'll get a prompt back and it's like, or an auto reply, and it'll be like, hey, this is Matt, this is an auto reply, but everything after this is really me. It is. And then you just fill out your info and then boom, you're on.
These pajamas are cute. I like that.
Oh yeah, they're super cute, babe. I love their pink and they're all layered and everything like that with all the texture. Looks so good. The robe looks great too. The headband and stuff. Brian Wynn, good morning. Is there slightest chance you talk about potential staff changes at LSU since very few of the viewers seem to talk about it, LOL. Cliff Nelson, good morning, Uncle Scone, LFG. B-Rock, what up? Brandon Tilley, good morning. Who are you most excited about in today's signing class? You know, Brandon, let me see if I can. I mean, I know everyone tends to get really excited about quarterbacks or big-time out-of-state guys. I just think it's so important to keep the in-state guys. And sometimes, unfortunately, we don't, because of the way that recruiting works, when guys commit early, it's like, okay, well, the hay's in the barn, who's next? And so we don't hype guys as much that have been committed as we would if they were to commit on signing day. And so, like, Trey Green is a massive get. He is the number one tight end in the country. He's a 5-star. He, was at East Feliciana or what? I can't remember if it's East Fell or West Fell, but and then transferred to Zachary, and he's a freak show. He's a total mismatch freak show on offense, and you got him to stay home, and we just kind of go like, okay, because you've known about him for a while, but that's a huge get. Weston Davis from Beaumont, you flip him from A&M, and you think about the way that LSU is recruited on the offensive line, going Emory Jones and Will Campbell, Lance Hurd, DJ Chester last year, Weston Davis now, a guy who on 3 has a 5-star, the number 20 overall prospect in the country, who's an offensive tackle. Like, bro, the future at offensive line. I mean, it's not projects that you're developing. It's you're getting 5-star linemen in every class, So there's a lot, man. I've mentioned Deshaun McBride, who I just mentioned. Mark Allen, old Billy Lucci was in his feelings yesterday. What happened? I don't know. I didn't see what Billy did. Bailey C, hasn't Brian Kelly just brought LSU back to what they were before, a 9-win team playing in a bowl game with playoff talent, LOL? No, Bailey C, because if you think this team had playoff talent on defense, you and I weren't seeing the same thing. Here's what I would ask you. Look at this LSU defense and tell me who's getting drafted this year off the LSU defense. Perkins. And he's a sophomore. I mean, we all really like Whit Weeks a lot. Think he's going to be a good player, but freshman. Andre Sam, Major Burns, Omar Spates, Ovi Agofu. I mean, who's getting drafted? Like, that's the big misconception, Bailey, when we had that conversation, is people like, oh, it's an LSU defense, got more talent. No, they don't. They didn't this year. They were not a talented defense. You were not talented and you were poorly coached. Like, that's the reality. Offensively, oh yeah, they were elite all over the field. But go back to what the conversation was we had all leading up to the season. I told you I thought the offense was going to be great. I didn't think they would be historically great. But how many times I say it? Defense just has to be good enough. And they weren't. Tim Gotro, good morning. Berkman, good morning. Good morning, Matt. Your show's amazing. Will LSU fire its DC? I still think there's a chance that Matt House is not back at LSU next year. Spurge, good morning. Barry, AFR segment with Shea was wild. His confidence for 100% take is unusual, right? Give it up to BK. Yes, I mean, the fact that you're expected to get all 27 players to sign today is wild. It is. It's unprecedented. I mean, in all the years that this is my 17th year covering LSU. See. Yeah, this is my 17th season covering LSU. I don't ever remember that. Leon Williams, Ethan Davidson, good morning, Matt. Any news on LSU coaching changes? Just thought I'd ask to get the question over with, LOL. Somebody beat you to it, Ethan. Tiger Diver, good morning. Any thoughts on the Manny linebacker from USC going into the portal? Could LSU get him? So you're talking about Tackett Curtis, and that's an interesting one because Tackett Curtis is one of those guys who was a top 5 player in Louisiana a year ago who didn't even give LSU a sniff. He was just dead set on leaving, and it wasn't like anything that Brian Kelly or the staff did or didn't do. Like, we talk about this a lot with signing day or with recruits. Like, you can't. That's why I always push back when people say, oh, we lost this guy. You can't lose something you never had. And just because a kid's from Louisiana doesn't mean he's going to pick LSU. Just like any other student, some people just want to leave. They want a different experience. They want a different life experience, and that's okay. And that was the issue or the instance with Tackett Curtis. He was never going to go to LSU. He was always going to leave, and that was known from jump. So that's not anything Brian Kelly or the staff didn't do. It's just he was leaving. So he went to SC. Obviously, Alex Grinch, their DC, gets fired. They bring in a new guy. There's some turnover there. And some of the scuttle that I'm hearing is the kid wants to come home. So I think LSU's got a really good shot at getting him. And that would be great because you need linebacker help. Omar Spades, who didn't have a great year, is out of eligibility. Greg Penn can return, who, as Cliff knows, is a great third down linebacker. Giant interception on third down against A&M, which turned the game. That's a joke. Every game at Don Juan this year, Cliff yelled about Greg Penn being on the field on third down. And then maybe his biggest play of the season was a third down interception against A&M. Anyway. But look, you'll have Whit Weeks back, West Weeks back. Christian Braithwaite was a freshman this year. Like, you need linebacker help. You get look, Tackett Curtis is from Manny, and Tylen Singleton, the linebacker you have committed this year, is from Manny. So, yeah, let's bring him on down. Bubba Tatum, Matt, can you give us an update on defensive staff changes? I see it's only been asked twice this morning. Wait, 3 times now. Ross Meir, how long do you think these transfer rules will last? I think it's damaging college football. Ross, you got to be a little more specific. Like, what do you mean how long the transfer rules will last? Like transfer portal, guys being able to transfer once in perpetuity, that's not changing. And I don't think it's damaging college football, Ross. I think, and I understand, like, my opinion on this stuff sort of varies from a lot, but I'm going to say this again. The only people that are inconvenienced by the transfer portal are millionaire head coaches because it has become more difficult for them to recruit and maintain their roster. And forgive me, but I'm not sympathetic toward a millionaire coach. I'm going to be vastly more in favor of a 18, 19, 20-year-old seeking a better opportunity for himself. And I say this as someone who transferred. I went away for my freshman year of college. I realized it was not for me. And transferring to LSU was the best decision I ever made. I loved my time at LSU. The Manship School was perfect for me. It nurtured me. It allowed me great opportunities. I met people who are still lifelong friends. It was foundational. I loved every day that I was an LSU student. And what if someone had told me, you have to stay where you are? What? Like, why is it different for athletes when any other student in the population can transfer when they want? It doesn't make any sense. Like, what 18-year-old is going to make the right decision 100% of the time? You're not. Sometimes you're else. You should be held captive in a place that you realize after a year isn't right for you. So, no, Ross, I disagree with you. I don't think it's damaging college football. I mean, LSU's two best players, Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, were transfers. And please don't give me this garbage about, well, they were graduates. That's the rebuttal I hear from fans. They were graduates, so they left the place where they were. The schools that had recruited them, invested in them, developed them, paid for their scholarships, all that, and they just left. I didn't have no problem cheering for those guys. Matt needs to talk about staff changes and route concepts. Spurge, good morning. Heard the large majority of our commitments have Louisiana ties. Build that fence, BK. Yeah. It's pretty remarkable, but it's why Brian Kelly primarily made the decision to come here. And I know I say it all the time, but it's true. The advantage Louisiana LSU has is the dirt. It's high school talent, Louisiana. Here's a for instance. Let me paint this picture for you real quick. So 27 commits for LSU right now. 17 from Louisiana, 6 from Texas. 1 from Florida, 1 from Georgia, 1 from Mississippi, 1 from North Carolina. So all in the Southeast. Your entire class in the Southeast. 17 of the 27 from Louisiana, and another, I believe, 3 have ties to the state that just ended up playing football, high school football somewhere else. So really like 20 of your 27 from Louisiana. Here's a for instance. Notre Dame, where Brian Kelly came from this year, here's their breakdown by state. Remember, they're in Northwest Indiana. 3 players from North Carolina, 3 players from Ohio, 2 from California, 2 from Georgia, 2 from Indiana, 2 from Texas, 1 from Arizona, 1 from Florida, 1 from Illinois, 1 from Massachusetts, 1 from Michigan, 1 from Missouri, 1 from Nebraska, 1 from Pennsylvania, 1 from Virginia. You want to know why Brian Kelly's here? Because he's a car ride away from a handful of 5 stars. From his entire class, he's a car ride away. You want to recruit a player at Notre Dame? You're getting on a plane. That's the difference. Good, 3078. Matt, LSU seriously has a problem with fan engagement with NIL. We need our fan base motivated to spend for these kids. Would bring back something like the Bayou Bash be the most no-brainer move. The Bash would have to have some different iteration. It really tailed off. I know a lot of the rules changed and everything too, and for what it was at the time, it was what it was. It was great, but I mean, I've told y'all my opinion on the matter. You know, LSU needs to put some sort of ticket tax and fund their collective, but look what Ole Miss is doing, y'all. Ole Miss is running ads. Like, if you look on social media, and maybe I just get targeted with this, Ole Miss is running ads for their collective for fans to join the collective and, like, do a subscription, $20 a month, something like that. I mean, they're in. Please smash that like button if you would. Subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, please like the Matt Moscona page. Share the post. Blake DeVilliers, good morning. Jordan Taylor, Jeremy Causey, Scott Edwin Capel, good morning. Remember you were high on Kyron Williams coming to college. Dude has been a stud. Yeah, I just saw Kyron Williams play a lot at Notre Dame, and I wanted the Saints to draft him in the mid-rounds. basically the guy they got with Kendre Miller is what I had hoped for with Kyron Williams. Bubba Smith, Deborah Coward, Clayton Knight. Nebraska pulled the #1 quarterback in the country. They did, Clayton, but remember, it's still in Raiola. His dad, Dominic Raiola, was a Nebraska legend, NFL player, offensive lineman. So he's a legacy, and he was committed to Georgia, but with Carson Beck returning to school, Raiola flipped to Nebraska. Let's see, Dustin Jenkins, good morning. Were you at practice yesterday? If so, what were the positives? I was, Dustin, and I do have a full practice report from AFR yesterday. I would tell you maybe the biggest surprise is Mekhi Wingo is out there, full pads, full practicing. So he had the knee injury. He's back. Other big takeaway, I thought Chris Hilton and Shelton Sampson were awesome yesterday. So again, it's practice, but you could see the development of those guys, and there's, I think, reason to be really excited about them. But you can check the AFR LSU YouTube channel and get a full report. Ryan Pike, getting my poop kicked in at work, but we're breathing and blessed, and it's early signing day. Let's go earn our freaking bread today, Matt. Okay. Matt Plavidal, what's up with Billy Lucci? He hates LSU. What happened with Billy? I don't know what happened with Billy. Abner Neal, hey, Rebecca Claire, good morning. Weston Weaver, Travis Michel, Scott Scalia, Scott Shirley, a favorite Christmas song, the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. Yeah, we talked about Christmas songs yesterday on AFR about how I'm not really a fan of Christmas songs. I feel like there's 10 Christmas songs and we've all heard them a bajillion times over our lives. So it's like, I don't need to hear them anymore. Let's see. Cajun Country, I do not read into a lot of recruiting rankings. 12th is a bit low for LSU. Listen, let me give you an illustration why I don't care about recruiting rankings. First of all, I don't know that LSU's ever finished like #1, have they? I mean, and they've had plenty of talent and great players, great classes, and then you have a class like 2020, which is one of the highest rated classes LSU ever had, with Eric Gilbert and Eli Ricks and Keyshawn Booty and those guys, and how did that work out? So I tend to not. Look, it's obvious if you go look at the top classes, like the best programs in the country, they're at the top of the recruiting rankings every year. So I'm not minimizing that, but the difference between like 1 and 5 or 5 it's negligible. I mean, so here's my point. Okay, those are sides. So like. Weston Davis. Here's an example, okay? So the Weston Davis, the offensive lineman that LSU flipped from Texas A&M, On3 rates him as the 20th best prospect in the country. Any position, 20th best prospect overall, 5-star, best in the country. 247 rates him as the 153rd best player at any position and the 13th best offensive tackle. Rivals has him 96. And ESPN, by the way, doesn't have him in their top 300. So one scouting service has him as the 20th best player. ESPN doesn't have him in their top 300. I mean, like, that's why I don't care so much about the rankings. Like, it is a beauty pageant, and who really knows? Because not only are you watching kids play in high school, but who are they playing against? I mean, you could have 2,500 yards rushing, but if you're playing 1A ball, like if you're Leonard Fournette, you're playing, Leonard Fournette was in the Catholic League in New Orleans, but if you're Leonard Fournette playing against a 1A schedule, how does that look? I mean, think about think about a freshman. Think about like Harold Perkins last year as a freshman in college. Think about him playing in high school the year before. Brian Williams, love the text line. I have short, meaningful conversations with Matt through the text line. Thank you for the helpful information. You got it, dude. Thanks for participating. And I always do my best. Like, there are thousands of people that text me on that text line. So I don't reply to every single text. It's just that in and of itself would be a full-time job. But I do my very, very best to reply as much as I can, even if it's like a thumbs up, an emoji, like an acknowledgement. Yes, I got, whatever. I do my best. Barry Jocelyn, that voice is how to husband. That was from when Erica was walking by in her nightgown. It's pajama day at school. Oh, and she slept in, man. I feel so bad. It's like 7 o'clock. She's normally out the door at 6:40, 6:45. It was 7 o'clock. I was like, hey, it's 7 o'clock. You're late. She forgot to set her alarm. Ernest Gray, Scott Shirley, did we see Preon switch positions to cornerback yesterday at practice? Number 10 looked bulky, too bulky to be Denver Harris. Yeah, so, yes. Yeah, Denver Harris was not in practice yesterday. So that was the scout team defense. So the scout defense is wearing jerseys to reflect the opponent's numbers. So like there was a number 9 on defense yesterday. Well, LSU doesn't have a number 9. That sort of thing. So you mentioned 10, right? So Preon was playing cornerback, scout team cornerback yesterday, wearing jersey 10. That wasn't Denver Harris. One of the walk-ons who was playing scout team quarterback was wearing number 8. So anyway, yes. Jesse Pose, Cameron Stacy, hit the like button, y'all. Get Matt trending on YouTube. Fall fan here. Matt is a legend in the making. Thank you, Cameron. That's really nice of you. Jason H. Did Sage withdraw his transfer? He did. So, or he never entered the portal formally. He just said he had announced he was going to enter, and then never did, and said he's staying. And I'll tell you all the reason. Primarily, as I was told, is DeCameron Richardson, the kid that LSU wanted, Mississippi State cornerback from North Louisiana. They got a visit, thought was going to come home. He visited LSU, then went to Auburn, then went to Ole Miss, and he left Ole Miss committing. So LSU didn't get the transfer corner they wanted, and so they went to Sage and were like, we really would like you to stay. And so he did. Wacky Chris, morning, Matt. Looking at all the talking heads saying Kelly couldn't recruit Louisiana or the South and laughing. Yes. Neil Ehrlich, do you think LSU goes after Malik Murphy from Texas? No, I don't. I think LSU, I'll tell you honestly, the bigger possibility or opportunity would have been Malachi Nelson from USC. So Malachi Nelson's a 5-star. Last year, it was he and Arch were 1-2. And Malachi Nelson spent this year at USC, hit the transfer portal, and his family is from Louisiana. He's still got a lot of family here in Baton Rouge. His parents, he's with his parents in California, but his whole family is here. And my understanding is he's only considering LSU or staying on the West Coast. So leaving USC and going to UCLA, or I think Oregon might have been a possibility, but Oregon took Dylan Gabriel and Dante Moore, so that seems like that's off the table. But anyway, I think LSU is done at quarterback. That seems silly to me. If you got a 5-star quarterback who wants to come to your school, take him. Now, there's a very obvious question of if you take him, then does that affect Bryce Underwood? Maybe, don't know. But that would be, I think, the more interesting option. Official Friday, crazy story. Before the 2022 football season started, I went to a wing place. I'm not saying that because it's not Pluckers. In Arlington. And one of the waiters asked us, did we play football? Then he randomly tells us about Jaden Daniels, which is his cousin, and tells us he will be a star at LSU. Very cool. He was right. Hey, Dad, good morning. Leon Williams, love signing day. I remember my signing day in 96. Congratulations to all the young men getting to live their dream. Very cool, Leon. Let's see. Billy Lucci was up in arms about LSU tampering with players at A&M. Okay, send me a link. And by the way, I'm sure LSU is tampering with players at A&M. And I'm sure every school in America tampers with players at every school in America. And it's why no coaches ever mention it, because if you mention it, then other people are going to mention you doing it, which is why no coaches ever talk about other coaches cheating on the recruiting trail, because everybody cheats. So did LSU tamper with A&M players? I'll bet they did. Did A&M staff tamper with other players? I'll bet they did. Did Nick Saban and Kalen DeBoer and every other coach in America yeah, that's how it's done. You gonna speed on the interstate today? I am. Irfan Sayad, James Avery, Antron Hemingway, good morning. Leon, let's see, many folks complain about the portal ruining chances for high school kids. I see the COVID year with 6- and 7-year players taking the opportunity instead. Thoughts? I don't know, Leon, but that the conversations are the same. You know, with portal and I mean, COVID obviously presented another opportunity. But I don't know what that necessarily has to do with portal. So I don't know if I understand the parallels. Trivia, you changed your name again here from person 2 to I can't help it. What's going on with that? I mean, whenever LSU lost to Florida State, you had to change it to FSU as my daddy. I think you told me your father-in-law, that was a bet you'd lost. And then you went to person 2, now I can't help it. Like, what are we doing here? I need an explanation. Daniel Holden, Bailey C. If the Saints were to win the next 2 games, I'd be really impressed. I would as well, Bailey. Look, if the Saints beat, because keep in mind, right now, the Rams, Saints and Rams are both 7-7. The Rams currently have the tiebreaker for the final wildcard spot in the NFC. If the Saints beat the Rams and the Bucks, they would lead the division and would have the inside track for a tiebreaker against the Rams in the wild card if they ended up finishing 9-8. So, yes, I would be thrilled if the Saints won Thursday and next week in Tampa. Now, I don't think they're going to win either of those games, but I will watch and be very interested. Mark, yes, don't forget the Crier kid, old Manny teammate too, right? Yeah, that's Jonathan Crier, who, let me give you his profile real quick. Looking, where is it? Sorry, Joseph Crier. I said Jonathan, my apologies. He's at Natchitoches Central from Leesville, 6'4", 290, big interior offensive lineman. I think he was maybe an Ole Miss commit, and as soon as LSU gave him the offer, he flipped. I think I have that right. Christian, good morning. Hunter Broadhead, good morning. Ross Meir, good morning. Lou, good morning. Nelbert's Nuggets. Of course, these kids can transfer, but to be immediately eligible is another thing. I don't see the point, Nelbert. Like, you're going to have to explain to me. Like, this is the point. You're going to have to explain to me why a kid who transfers should have to sit out, other than that's the way it's always been. You're going to have to explain that to me. Like, because if you want to change that rule, you have to give me a reason why you want to change that rule. I gave you the reason why why transferring is okay and why they should be able to go and be eligible. Tell me why they shouldn't. And if you have an answer other than it's not fair or something that's going to inconvenience a head football coach trying to build a roster, I don't care. Because the portal works both ways. You can lose players and you can bring players in immediately. Matthew Denicola, BK can't recruit, LOL. Where are those people at now? I think Kelly's done a really good job over the last 2 years of acknowledging his situation and letting Frank Wilson cook. I think that was probably the biggest reality check for him. When you're used to doing something a certain way forever, like if you were here a bit ago, I just rattled off all the different states that Brian Kelly had to recruit when he was at Notre Dame. Like Notre Dame's class, this current class, the most prospects from a single state are 3. LSU's got 17 commits from Louisiana. So when you're used to doing something a certain way for so long, it could be hard to change. If I go back and look at, let's look at last year. So remember, this year, 17 players from Louisiana. Last year, 10. 5 from Texas, 4 from Georgia, California, Florida, Maryland, Minnesota, Missouri, Nevada, Ohio. I mean, that's the big change, right? Go back to 22, Kelly's first class. It was kind of an incomplete because you come in late and they only signed 15 players. But the point is, that's showing a shift from Polian to Frank Wilson, where you shifted from a national mindset, the Notre Dame mindset, to let's get a bunch of dogs from Louisiana. And I think that's been a really important change that Kelly's made. Ryan Pike, also you mentioned you weren't sympathetic to millionaire coaches. I agree, but I don't think I've ever heard your take on changing the college football calendar. What do you think? What do you mean about changing the college football calendar? Like, can you be a little more specific? Are you talking about with the early signing period? I love having the early signing period because it's mutually beneficial. This is what I mean. When you only had the February signing date, the problem that existed for so many years was you'd have a guy committed, and then on National Signing Day, he flips. Well, now what? Everybody's committed. The pool of recruits has shallowed out. Similarly, schools did that to recruits. You could have a guy committed forever, and then if you have a guy in the 11th hour that wants to flip to you, and you don't have a spot because there was a hard cap at 25, you purge a kid out of the class when he had been committed to you for 2 years and didn't take visits and all that sort of stuff. There was a kid from Denham Springs. I use this example all the time. Tevin Lawson, I believe was his name, his defensive lineman, was LSU's first commit a certain year, and like 3 days before signing day, they purged him. And he had nowhere to go. I think he ended up at TCU. There was another kid. What was his name? Elliott Porter. Remember Elliott Porter? Same thing. Elliott Porter was committed. They say, hey, we want you to gray shirt. He says no. There's nowhere to go. I think he ends up landing at Kentucky and then later transferred back to LSU. But that was another instance. So what the early signing period has done is it has forced both schools and prospects to show their hand. How committed are you really to me? Look at Dominic McKinley's a great example. Dominic McKinley's been committed to Texas A&M. Been committed to A&M. Well, he's got an opportunity to sign today, and guess what? He's not going to. So A&M knows we don't have, we can't count our chickens before they hatch. Well, that's good. That's good for A&M to be able to know that now instead of knowing it in February. So I think the early signing period is mutually beneficial, both for the school and for the player. Now, as far if you're asking something else about the recruiting calendar, let me know if I'm misinterpreting your question. Please smash that like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel. We're always brought to you by Brock and Hudco, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing. Need an orthopedist, go to Brock. Need a roof, give us a shout. We got Hudco pinned in the chat. Saturday there was a ton of rain. By the way, also, if you are an insurance agent, if you are a realtor, and insurance agents, obviously, we love to work. We work very closely with insurance agents, and then realtors. If you have a client, I can't tell you how many times. I cannot tell you how many times we have helped realtors get deals to the closing table by handling whatever roof issue might have been involved in a certain property, in a certain home sale. So we'd love to help you. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Bailey C., you referenced the fact that the defense had no talent. Who brought in those transfers on D? All I'm saying is Brian Kelly doesn't walk on water. I agree with you. They missed. Like, they hit on transfers in 22, They missed on those transfers this year. Now, the caveat is, what if Greg Brooks doesn't have his medical episode? Which is devastating. But Greg Brooks was your best defensive back, period. He was your communicator in the back end. He was your best nickel. He could cover. He could tackle. Like, losing Greg Brooks really hurt you. J.K. Johnson. J.K. Johnson was a guy that might have been a starting caliber cornerback for you. Got injured in fall camp. How different does it look if he's there? There are some things that at each level of the defense you could look at. You lost Mekhi Wingo was hurt this year. He played injured and then ultimately shut it down. You know, at each level of your defense, you lost a really good player. And I'm not saying that would have made you a top 20 national defense, but if Wingo's healthy and you have J.K. Johnson and you have Greg Brooks, you're a fundamentally different defense than you were as the year played out. Michael Broussard, morning Matt from Champaign, Illinois, packing up for a trip back to the boot for Christmas, ready to follow National Signing Day for the full ride. Very cool. Andrew Price, not many defensive players being added. No coach change. LSU defense will be weak again next year at this rate. So, Andrew, I'll say it again, and I've said this for weeks now, but I guess I have to repeat it again, even though people have joked about it today. I believe there will be, at minimum, 2 defensive staff changes. I believe there is still a strong possibility Matt House will not be back next year. I believe there's a possibility House could return to the NFL, which means after the bowl game, after the NFL season ends, Matt House could go back to the NFL. That would be late January or February, right? So there will be defensive staff changes. And as far as adding defensive players, getting Wingo, Smith, Guillory back on the defensive line, if you do, along with Shand and Swinson and all those veteran players, Lee, that makes you a talented, deep, veteran defensive line. I would love to see them add a linebacker, but Greg Penn with Weeks next year, with West Weeks, Christian Braithwaite, Singleton, the possibility of adding a transfer and Tackett Curtis makes you much better a linebacker than you were this year. You need help at corner, period. J.K. Johnson and Zy Alexander will both be back, but both will be coming off of season-ending injuries. What version of themselves will they be? I don't know. You need to get a corner. You need to. And I think you'll be better at safety. I like the young guys. I like Ryan Yates a lot. I think Toviano is a safety playing out of position right now. Deshaun McBride, highest rated player in your class this year, defensive player in your class this year, safety from Denham. I think you will be better. Listen, man, it's going to be hard to be worse on defense than you were this year. You'll be better. The question is, how much better? Robert Collins, morning, Matt. Do you ever think we'll get back to running more man defense like our glory days, or will we relegate to zone boys? Yesterday at practice, it was interesting because they were doing 11 on 11, and they're playing press man, and the receiver got a free release off the line, and Kelly ran up and was like, just yelling. He's like, you can't play press man if you don't get a jam at the line of scrimmage. Like, you can't play press man if you're not good at it. you have to have Morris Claiborne and Patrick Peterson and Derek Stingley and Greedy Williams and Dante Jackson and Tre'Davious White. Like, they don't have those guys. If you get those guys again in your program, you can play press man. Otherwise, you're looking at what happened with Keon Coleman and Trey Harris from Ole Miss and basically every other stinking receiver you played this year. They played a lot of zone this year because they had to, and they weren't good at it. Dustin Fondo, good morning from Puerto Rico. Christian, weekday extended morning scone is fire. Tell Drew to start school later when they go back. Yeah, so normally we do morning scone from 7:30 to 8 because I have to get Drew up and get him ready for school. Well, Drew's off this week for Christmas and next week, by the way. So we're going longer in the mornings here. Russell Doloff, Titus Barrett, good morning. Thoughts of possibly getting Evan Stewart from A&M from the portal. I would love that. I honestly have not heard what schools he's considering or that LSU would be in. Well, let's be very clear. Of course LSU would be interested. And Evan Stewart is the best wide receiver. I mean, Evan Stewart and Moose Muhammad were their best receivers. Stewart didn't play against LSU, by the way. He had already sort of left the team. But, I mean, that 2022 class, the 5 stars, I mean, Walter Nolan, LT Overton, who now is going to Bama. Nolan's going to end up at Ole Miss. Now Evan Stewart, I mean, it's Denver Harris was a 5-star in that class who already left. I mean, it's just incredible. That class has been dismantled. But yes, I would love Evan Stewart at LSU. That'd be amazing. But my guess is Evan Stewart's going to go get a gigantic NIL deal somewhere and probably look at a place like Georgia, I would think. He could probably go to Georgia or Bama and be their number 1 receiver next year immediately on a top-tier team. Seth Rushing, have you ever worried about the future of LSU falling off because of NIL? No, Seth, I haven't, because of the thing that I always mention, which is LSU's advantage in the dirt. And there's always going to be kids, not every kid, but there's always going to be enough kids from this state who just want to play at LSU. LSU, I don't think, will ever be a dominant NIL player. But I don't think they'll fall off because you just have so much advantage in the dirt. Kids that want to play at LSU, kids from Louisiana want to play here. Cliff Nelson, not having Mike D stinks, but Sean Salisbury is a good sub. Sean's been great, man. I don't know if you caught him yesterday, but Sean was the offensive coordinator at the U.S. Army All-American Bowl, where LSU quarterback commit and soon-to-be signee Colin Hurley was his quarterback. And Sean spent about 10 minutes yesterday on AFR. It was the first segment of the 5 o'clock hour. So first segment of hour 3, just gushing about Colin Hurley. It was great perspective if you want to check it out. Cajun Country, where's Ocho? He better pay up. Season's not over, but we will circle back, and I believe he's a man of his word. And he and RC are tight, so if I need to get RC involved, I will, but I don't think I'll have to. Let's see, Father J.D. Mathern, do you think transfer portal will kill bowl games? Thinking Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State, nothing major to play for, so players leave. Feels like a lot of teams will be in that boat. They're not going to kill bowl games because bowl games are, as long as you have a sponsor and a TV window, bowl games will still continue to exist. Despite opt-outs and plummeting attendance, why do we keep seeing more bowl games? Because they're on TV and they have sponsors. That's all that matters. Sports is a TV product more than it is an in-person product. You could put 50, 60, 70, 100,000 people in a stadium. That pales in comparison to the hundreds of thousands or millions of people that will watch on TV. So as long as you have a sponsor and a TV contract and live sports, there will always be a place to put live sports on TV. You will continue to have bowl games. What has changed is how we view bowl games. They're and this isn't something that will happen. It has happened. They're no longer rewards for a great season. it's no longer an honor to go to a bowl game. Not that it ever was. It's just how it was billed. It's a chance for 15 practices and a game to get ready for next year. It's a pre-spring practice opportunity. Brent Chisholm, top of the morning. Hollywood, good morning, Matt. Love to see Nuss lose about 10 about 10 pounds. He might possibly start scrambling a little bit. Nuss lost weight. I didn't notice that yesterday. I'd say we're back there. We have more availability tomorrow to watch practice. I don't know that I noticed Nuss look any leaner. Then again, I've never noticed he looked big. And he's a good athlete, man. Like he's not Jaden, but who is? But Nuss can move. Like he's not like a statuesque guy in the pocket. He can move. Reagan Lee, are you hearing that Matt House might want to go back to the NFL? Or just think it's a possibility. Both. Ooh, I think Drew's awake. Show? Who says that? Who says that? Who's that? Oh, look what I got, y'all. I got a little boy whose butt says, "Don't moose with me." Hi. Look. Hey.
Drew.
Who is it?
Drew.
Drew. Did you sleep so good?
Yes.
Yes. I love you so much. Hey, what color is Drew's jammies?
Blue.
Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Blue. Hey, I love you so much. I love you, Drew.
No, Drew.
I love you, Drew.
Oh, Daddy.
Of a daddy. Are you just waking up? Yeah. He's waking up.
Who
Yeah.
do it?
What, baby?
Drew do it.
Drew do it.
What's up, come on?
Oh, Drew do it. Yeah, okay, go ahead. You do it.
What's up, come on? I do it. Home day, I did. I go up, but I go to, I'll go with it. So come, my son, my time, com.
Yay! You kind of stumbled your way and muttered your way through it, but it was good. I knew what you were saying. Good job. I love you so much. Everybody's so happy to see you today. Everybody's so happy to see you this morning. Miss Rebecca said hi. Can you say hi, Rebecca?
Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
Nick said, just drew it. Can you say hi, Nick? Hi, Pam. Hi, Christian. Hi, Ray. Hi, Clayton. Papa is watching. Look, there's Papa right there. You say hi, Papa? He's looking for you on the screen, Dad.
No.
What does that say? Jody Moscona. Huh. 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 He's looking for you in the screen. It's just his name. Oh, hey. They ask, what do we say when the Saints are playing?
Where?
And what do we say when LSU is playing?
Good tiger.
Good job. Good job, good job, good job. I need to teach you, what do we say when the Pels are playing? That's not really what we said. Oh, they're asking, hey, is Santa coming to Drew's house?
Yes.
Yes. Did you see Santa? Did Santa come to Drew's house on Friday?
Yes.
Yes. What did Santa say?
Oh, hoo.
Hey, what did Santa say?
Oh, hoo.
What did Santa say?
I say.
You said hi, Santa. What did Santa say? Okay, now you want to get down? Okay. All right, you can go play. I love you. See you soon. His butt says, don't moose with me. It's little jammies. So good. All right. Clayton Knight, I see you replaced your down bottle of Weller 12. Actually, Clayton, I'm getting a new bottle of Weller 12 today. And I'll just, I just moved everything over and filled that gap with my Russell's 13 iPad. Okay, thank you for asking. Well, we're going to start your backpack, and in a little while, me and Olivia are going to come over. All right. Okay, y'all. Josh DeVilliers, Tony Williams, Jared Moe, Tanya Grant, Michael Cook, Mark Vitanovich, Jeff McKithen. Good morning, y'all. Josh DeVilliers, did y'all do roofs in Lake Charles after Laura? We did. Absolutely. Still can. All over the state. So if you need a roof help, let us know. Happy to help. Tony Williams said, not all dogs are from Louisiana. Asked Sage Ryan, the two best players in LSU history from Ohio and California. So I think that's... So first of all, I hate your comment. I hate when adult humans call out college athletes, young people. Sage Ryan has done everything that was asked of him. And he didn't ask to be a 5-star and to come in with the hype that you, because you guzzle recruiting rankings that I displayed for you earlier, how giant of a disparity there is. I mean, Weston Weaver, the offensive lineman that LSU flipped from A&M, on 3 has him as the 20th best player in the country, any position. ESPN doesn't even have him in the top 300. So if you're guzzling those rankings, that's on you. Sage Ryan has played corner, nickel, dime, free safety, strong safety. He's done everything they've asked of him. So any expectation that he didn't live up to is an expectation that you created by looking at recruiting rankings. You don't even know who's putting out the rankings. Number 2, Jaden and Joe winning a Heisman's are awesome, for sure. But you want to sit here and talk to me about Glenn Dorsey, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors, Andrew Whitworth? You want to go through a long history and list of the best players in the history of this program and who's from this state? Come on. Robert Scott said, I'm late viewing. Any news on defensive coaching changes, Corey Raymond, etc.? I hope he's joking. Probably not. Clayton Knight, I didn't see if KP is what. That's not where I'm getting it from. I'm making a trade, Clayton, by the way. Mark asks, is J.K. Johnson practicing in full? Any chance he plays in the bowl game? No, he is not practicing. Father John David Mathern, do you think the transfer portal will kill? Oh, sorry, read that one. Brent Chisholm, sorry, read that one. Any thoughts on how LSU can harvest the fan base to raise additional funds for player acquisition retention outside of tickets and merchandise? Yeah. Bayou Traditions, you can go to the website at Bayou Traditions and you can join the different funds. I mean, there's a one-time contribution, and then there's Join the Natty Club, where you can, it's a $20 minimum a month. and $45 max. You get Bayou Traditions perks, 100 entries to monthly giveaways, a $20 voucher to the store or a swag bag. You can give 20, you can give 50, you can give $100 a month. It's fixed. It's all different kinds of stuff where you can give monthly. But I don't think people know about it. They've done a poor job branding it, marketing it, pushing it out there. But it's really the challenge. If you're an LSU fan and you are already asked to give to TAF, and you have your tradition fund and your season tickets and all of it, like, can you really justify, can you really justify that? And the challenging part of it too is, and somebody just, I think, let me scroll the bottom. Brett said, "Thank you, the Bio Traditions website. Agree, never heard of it before." That's the point. Like, LSU spending resources promoting its collective and trying to get people to give to the collective. This is the challenge. The assumption is there is a finite amount of money in this pool, and all you're doing is redistributing the money. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. What I mean is, let's say a fan has $100 they're willing to give, and forever they've always given that $100 to TAF to increase their TAF points. Well, they're not going to give $200. Like, this is the thought, right? They have $100 to give. They're not going to give 100 to TAF and now give another 100 to Bayou Traditions. So, do they take 50 and give it to TAF and then 50 and give it to Bayou Traditions? What they could do, but now TAF is defunded, right? Or it's less funded than it was. So you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. The question that all these schools have to ask and answer is, what do we want our resources to go to? Do we want it to go to facilities and upgrades and things of that nature, coaches' salaries, all that stuff, or do we want it to go to players? And that's the real challenge that not only LSU, that every school is having right now. And in time, I think that will normalize, whatever that's going to look like. But that's the real challenge. It's hard to imagine it's really hard to imagine a world where the average fan is the one funding the collective. Unless if they find a way to get really creative to incentivize fans to fund the collective. And I don't know that a $20 voucher to the store or a swag bag and entries to a monthly giveaway is going to do it. I believe in this town, in this city, in this state, people love events and parties. Like, I would throw some type of exclusive access party as a fundraiser. And listen, I know some of y'all may know, maybe you don't know this. Earlier this year, Brian Kelly had an event with, a certain level of LSU boosters over at Supper Club. And he went over there, and it was an invite-only type deal, and it was, basically there to ask people to give to the collective and raise money for NIL and all that sort of stuff. But that's a challenge, because you have a lot of those same people that are spending money with LSU sports properties. So if you're a business owner and you're spending $250,000 a year with LSU sports properties, hypothetically, are you now going to turn around and spend another 100, 250 million, whatever, with the collective? You see what I mean? Or do you take, if you had $250,000 to spend with sports properties, do you take $100K and put it to the collective and $150 with sports properties? Well, what does that do to your ad, budget or take? That's the challenge. That's what they're trying to figure out. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. That might have just been a super high level convo that that doesn't make sense. But anyway, I hope that makes sense. I don't know if it does. All right, let's wrap it up here, y'all. We're gonna get rolling. Matthew DeNicola, I agree. LSU does a poor job promoting Bayou traditions. You have to spend money to make money. Look, yesterday, I'll tell you. I mean, yesterday on AFR, I talked about Ole Miss and how Ole Miss has done a fantastic job funding its collective, and how they've allocated their funds. They've done a fantastic job. Ole Miss has been the most organized, not the best funded, but the most organized collective effort in the country. Ole Miss, I would say, and Ohio State are probably the two best. Again, there's some that are more funded that just have boosters who have given bigger dollar amounts, but they've done a great job. You want to know why you didn't get Cameron Richardson? Kid from Louisiana who's a starter at Mississippi State at a position of need. You bring him here, he leaves here, he goes to Auburn, leaves Auburn, goes to Ole Miss, commits to Ole Miss. Why? Figure it out. Why is Ole Miss about to get Walter Nolan's kid from Mississippi, from Olive Branch, who number one player in the portal? You know, why they get Deion Smith? I mean, look around. It's obvious what they're doing. They're going all in this year because they have a manageable schedule. They have Jackson Dart returning, Quinshon Judkins returning, Trey Harris is returning, and they look at their schedule where they miss Bama, they get Georgia, but Georgia goes to Oxford. Their two most difficult games: Georgia at home, at LSU. Even if you lose both those, you're 10-2. You're in the playoff. Ole Miss is going all in next year because they see their opportunity with the schedule and who they have returning and all that stuff. So all that to say, like, they've done a really good job. And I got a lot of feedback yesterday. People are not happy with me saying that. I'm not talking about fans. But it's true. I'm not a mouthpiece for LSU. I never have been, never will be. I love my school. It's my alma mater. I love wanting to win at everything in the world. But my obligation is to my audience. I will always be honest to my audience. The show doesn't work if you're a puppet. Everybody knows you're a puppet. There have been shows on air where it's puppets. It's people towing the company line. They're homers. It's Sunshine Rainbow. Like, you know who the people are. Like, that's okay if that's what you want to be, but there's a reason you also can't scale that, because people see through your BS. So I'm not that guy. I think that's why people listen or watch. But yeah, to the person who said, Brent said, thank you, Bayou Traditions website, never heard of it. That's a problem. When LSU fans don't even know what that is. Like, that's a problem. Anyway. Austin Kidder, never heard of Bayou Traditions either. Anyway. Okay. Scott Fondo, Robert Potts, can you explain why there's such a connection in talent and coaching, coaches, and now rivalry between A&M and LSU? I've watched since it came to the SEC. Don't get the riff. Two different cultures. So Robert, it really goes back to the 80s and the 90s when LSU and Texas A&M were playing every year. So that was a rivalry that was played every year. It went away kind of in bad faith. LSU backed out of the contract because they couldn't compete. It was the Archer, Curley, DiNardo, his first season, they played A&M in 95. That was DiNardo's first game was in 95 in College Station. And LSU was competitive, but they lost, and then they ditched the contract. And then proximity, Louisiana and Texas, you got a lot of Aggies that live in Louisiana, a lot of Louisiana natives that go to engineering school at Texas A&M, and so you have Louisiana natives that are Aggies. You got a lot of Louisiana natives that are LSU grads that live in Houston. Do they go to work? And so you have a lot of crossover and blending between the two schools. You recruit a lot of the same players, and it really ramped up in 2018 with the 7 overtime game. That's where, because LSU hadn't lost to A&M since they had been in the league. Yeah, they beat Johnny Manziel both years. So 2018 is when the animus really built, and it built organically on the field. And those are sometimes the best kind of rivalries. And then last year, I mean, LSU was going to the SEC championship game, and they lose to a 4-win A&M team. I mean, you know, it's real rivalries manifest on the field, and that has started to happen with LSU and A&M, because A&M is now carrying its, you know, it's holding up its end of the bargain. Okay, I'm gonna go. Y'all have an awesome day. Long show today, but appreciate y'all for being here. Rick Kelly said, Matt, your video on Florida State getting screwed was awesome. I've been posting it on all FSU fan Facebook pages. It has been getting a ton of likes. Cool. Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it. I hope it was the video from YouTube, from my YouTube channel, because I know there were some Florida State fans that like just screen grabbed it and posted it as their own, which is not, I mean, the one on Twitter that did 500,000 views, a Florida State fan screen grabbed it and posted it on his Twitter. When I wish he would have linked my YouTube, because then my YouTube would have gotten the views. But anyway, neither here nor there. I know a lot of people enjoyed it. It's fine. That's all good. But I hope you would link the YouTube. That would be great. Anyway, but thank you for posting. I appreciate it. Anyway, all right, I got to get out of here. Yeah, Rick, I know which one you're talking about. I just hope that you posted the link instead of the link to my YouTube, instead of the Twitter guy from Florida State who essentially pirated my video. But that's okay. I get it. It's 2023, and I'm okay. A lot of people watching. I'm happy. I'm very happy that they have. So, okay, we're out of here. I got to go. Y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much for watching. LSU Daily is live. AFR at 3. Signing day recap, all that stuff. Brock, Hudco. You need an orthopedist. Brock, you need a roof. Hudco, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Matt at HudcoRoofing.com. Peace.